Hey, fifth graders, we are here with our last video for Unit 1 of art class. So where we left off last week, I had this lovely reminder for you, okay? We filled out a paper with thumbnail sketches, okay? You chose 3 of your favorites, and I asked you to save this paper for our lesson 4, okay, which is today. Now, if you lost this paper, take a look around for it in your house, maybe see if you can find it. And if not, go ahead back to the other video just to refresh your memory on the directions and make sure you have your thumbnail sketches filled out with 3 of your favorites selected, okay? Now, before we jump into our objective to remind ourselves what our goals are for today, again, this video, just like lesson 3, is going to be shorter, but you have lots of drawing work to do, okay? So feel free to watch the video all the way through to get your instructions, okay? And then get to work with your drawing, okay? So our objectives for today. 5th grade art, Unit 1, Lesson 4. You will be able to use your thumbnail sketches to create your own artwork that fills an entire paper, okay? And then you are going to assess your work to be sure it meets criteria, okay? So we have come very far, started with our silly contour line drawings, okay? Went along with our funky organic shapes and geometric shapes, right? Organic are the ones from nature, sometimes silly blobs. Geometric ones are the ones that we can name and identify, okay? And also measure. We also talked about positive and negative space, which can be quite a bit more tricky, and we combined this knowledge with what we learned about organic and geometric shapes, okay? See if you can find something nearby where you can find positive and negative shape. I have my stapler here, okay? So I know here is my positive space. The top of my stapler is filling it up, but I can see through here this side, and I know that this space, right, where the paper would go in, that's the negative space, okay? Positive and negative space, it's all around us. So, hopefully last week with your thumbnail sketching, you were able to brainstorm a bunch of ideas, okay? We warmed up with just doing some shapes and lines, but we actually had criteria, right? Things that we needed to be sure that our artwork included. And let's go over that real quick to make sure that we all are on the same page, okay? Your job is to create a drawing that includes at least 1 example of organic shapes, 1 example of geometric shapes, at least 1 straight line. It can be horizontal, vertical, or diagonal, all right? The last thing here is include 1 example of positive and negative shapes. Now, this list of your project criteria is listed in your PowerPoint where you found this video, okay? Next, I'm gonna go back to my thumbnail sketches I made last week. I'm gonna go to the 3 that I circled and make sure that they've met all my criteria, okay? So our first criteria, to be sure that we have organic shapes. Let's be sure, we're just looking at my 3 that I starred last week. Let's be sure that there are organic shapes in all of them. That's an organic shape, right? It's silly. We don't really know what it's called. That's also pretty similar, a blob. And I'm going to call that spiral also an organic shape because we do see spirals in nature sometimes. So we've got our organic shapes down. That's good. Geometric. Geometric shapes here with our triangles. Another triangle here in this one. And would you like to consider a star a geometric shape or organic shape? I think that could be up to you to decide that. But I've decided that I do not want to include this star in my design. That is the best part about these thumbnail sketches. You can take parts from each drawing and combine them to take the best parts of your ideas and put them together. So we know that we have geometric shapes in these 2 designs. A star could be a geometric shape if it has straight, even edges and we can measure it. But for now, I'm going to scratch the star. Next, we need to look for at least one straight line, okay? We've got horizontal lines here, awesome. We've got diagonal lines on this one, and those are diagonal lines too, a little bit curved. Last but not least, we're looking for positive and negative space, okay? My creepy hand blob shape here, we've got positive space, negative space, same here, positive space and negative space. What about here? We've got two triangles with negative space and two triangles with positive space. So I know that all of my sketches that I've chosen here, the 3 that I've circled, they all meet my criteria, okay? But I can now choose to keep parts of the design and get rid of other parts, okay? So how do you take your thumbnail sketches and turn them into your big masterpiece? Let's get started with that. You are going to need a piece of paper. Doesn't matter how big or how small it is, but your goal today, like it said in our objective, your goal is that your final drawing is going to fill your entire paper, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to keep my thumbnail sketches where I can see them in my workspace. I'm going to go through my criteria, and I'm going to start with at least one of each thing. So I know I need one organic shape, okay? And I really like those blobs that I started with. So I'm gonna do one of those, okay? I have one of my organic shapes. Now, did you see, did I make my blob really tiny? No, because our goal is to fill the whole page. Next, geometric shapes. Now, I use geometric shapes in my thumbnail sketches, and I usually used triangles for those examples. And I really like the way those triangles looked in my picture, okay? So I've got at least 2 geometric shapes there, okay? That's even going beyond my criteria by including 2. Now, at least one straight line, okay? Now, in my thumbnail sketches, I really liked how I combined these diagonal lines to make that sort of zigzag thing. So I'm gonna include that in my thumbnail sketch as well. Diagonal lines going back and forth to create this lovely pattern, okay? Last thing, I need that positive and negative space, okay? So in my thumbnail sketches, I got to practice making my shapes twice and then filling one in, okay? So if I chose to fill in this whole shape, then I have my positive space here, negative space here, okay? If you have things to color with at home, it'd be really fun to fill in your masterpiece with color, okay? And then your last job, of course, to go through our criteria. When you think you're all done, make sure you have at least, you can add more if you want, at least one organic shape, one geometric, one straight line, it can be horizontal, vertical, or diagonal, and you need at least one example of positive or negative space. All right, when you are all done, put your finished masterpiece next to your sheet of thumbnail sketches. Your job before we're done with this unit is to compare your finished drawing with your thumbnail sketches. How is it different? How is it similar? Okay, maybe you added a totally new idea that wasn't in your thumbnail sketch, or maybe you combined some from each, okay? Think about how your thumbnail sketches helped you brainstorm, just like a rough draft for an essay that helped you get to that finished, polished final draft, okay? I hope you have fun with your artwork, okay? Remember, our list of criteria is also in your PowerPoint, okay? Have fun, fifth graders. It was great exploring this first unit with you guys. Great job.